party will tomorrow hold a physical celebration amid COVID-19 lockdown restrictions on gatherings. Newzroom Afrika's Mbali Thethani takes a look at what to expect during this year's event.
The ANC's January 8th statement is an important document for the party. It guides the party and sets its priorities for the year ahead. Over the past 2 years, the documents have placed much focus on job creation, turning around the economy, Eskom, and stamping out corruption. But with the scourge of the coronavirus pandemic, has the party been able to implement promises made to its supporters?
All our debates about job creation in this country is a total fantasy. People don't seem to bother about what's happening in the rest of the world. We're never going to go back to the 1960s when, the way white people lived in the 1960s, where everybody gets up in the morning and goes to a job. And that's not necessarily a disaster, because there are all sorts of things you can do to make sure that the people who are not going to go to those factories and offices and shops can earn decent livelihoods for themselves and their families. But you're not going to get that as long as you're talking about how we're going to go back to the 1960s. The most realistic thing one hopes is that they've recognized that ANC resolutions on job creation are an absolute waste of time. Because even if you believe that we can create all those jobs which are disappearing everywhere in the world, then it's not going to be done by resolutions passed by the ANC.
By the time that COVID started, the economy of this country was already on a downward spiral, trajectory. Joblessness, unemployment was on the rise. Perhaps for a moment, COVID did have an adverse effect on the job and economic situation in the country, but it is not the sum total cause of why the ANC has not been able to perform.
While the party may have struggled over the past 2 years under the pandemic, Friedman says the party has delivered when it comes to tackling corruption now that Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo has released part of his state capture report.
Despite the cynicism we hear, I think this current government has done quite a bit about fixing the way in which government handles corruption. For all the complaining, I think people from other countries might be a bit shocked. The former president is on trial. The former secretary general is on trial, or the suspended secretary general is on trial. All sorts of municipal officials up and down the country are on trial. And everybody's complaining there are no consequences. But what they haven't fixed is the whole corruption problem within the ANC.
As the January 8th statement is expected to unpack plans for the ruling party, these two analysts agree that the ANC should instead deal with its internal affairs when President Cyril Ramaphosa addresses party supporters on Saturday, especially after a bruising local government election.
What the January 8th statement should be about, because that is in the ANC's power, is what it's going to do about the ANC. You point out, very poor result in the local elections. Obviously, we're now at a time when what the ANC does about itself is going to be the most important factor deciding its future.
The ANC goes into this January 8th statement in the context of a sliding, in the context of a decline, in the context of a weakening. But the worst part of it goes into this January statement with massive problems as the ruling party, but without the necessary leadership ability to act with urgency. So I don't see any hope for ANC members that the ANC is about to turn around, given the massive problem that it faces right now.
Ramaphosa will deliver the ANC NEC's message to supporters in Limpopo on Saturday at the old Peter Mokaba Stadium in Polokwane. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Mbali Thethani in Johannesburg.